Hey, how you doing? And welcome to Snook Stories. And this is a brand new channel that will exclusively feature story videos. And you can expect videos every other day. And don't worry, I'll keep posting main channel Reddit story videos all the time. This will just be exclusively story videos. And I'll have a bunch of different kind of cool Reddit story videos, creepypasta story videos, and you'll just see a lot of good content on this channel, but it's just a little bit different than the main channel. So I wanted to create a second channel. So if you're new here, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. We need all the help we can get to get this channel off the ground and running. And I think we can pretty soon if you just decide to subscribe and like the video. It supports the channel a ton. And yeah, I'm just super excited to get into this. So welcome to Insane Am I the Asshole? Reddit Stories. And actually, before we get into it, please consider subscribing to the channel. I know I just said it, but the channel's goal is to be at 10,000 subscribers, and I think we can do that pretty soon. So please consider subscribing to the channel and joining in this brand new community. So anyways, without further ado, let's get into some insane Am I the Asshole Reddit stories. Am I the asshole for suing my neighbor after their kid trespassed and fell into my koi pond? I, 22M, have a koi pond in my backyard. It's not just any koi pond. It's a full-blown, professionally designed Japanese garden with a bridge, waterfalls, and koi that cost more than a car. I'm talking $1,000 for a single fish. Maintaining this pond is my pride and joy. I've put years into this hobby, and my yard is securely fenced with no trespassing signs everywhere. Enter my neighbor, Karen. Fake name, but fitting. Karen has a son, let's call him Timmy, who's 8, male, who is notorious for wandering into other people's yards uninvited. I've talked to Karen multiple times about this, but she just brushes it off with, kids will be kids. Last week, while I was out running errands, I got a frantic call from Karen. Apparently, Timmy climbed over my fence to feed the fish, even though I have explicitly told him to stay out. In doing so, he slipped, fell into the pond, and destroyed part of my carefully maintained ecosystem. Several of my prized koi died due to stress, and the filtration system was damaged because of the debris Timmy kicked in. Luckily, Timmy wasn't seriously hurt, just a few scrapes, but Karen has been demanding I pay for his medical bills. She claims that my pond is an attractive nuisance, and that I should have had a cover or something to prevent from kids falling in. I argued that 1, it's a private fenced property, and 2, her son had no business being there in the first place. When I refused to pay, Karen lost it and started bad-mouthing me to the whole neighborhood, calling me heartless and a terrible person. I've since filed a lawsuit against her for the cost of the koi, the damage to my filtration system, and repairs to my pond, over $5,000 in total. Some of my friends think I'm taking it too far, saying he's just a kid, but others agree that Karen should have been watching him better. So Reddit, am I the asshole for suing my neighbor after her kid trespassed and destroyed my koi pond? Am I the asshole for not tipping after overhearing what my waitress said about me? I, 30F, was at a restaurant last night with my mother. She was meeting my boyfriend's mom for the first time. We're punctual people, so we got there about 30 minutes before our reservation. We got seated with no issues. It took the waitresses 20 minutes to get to our table, even though the restaurant was pretty empty. Right away, I could tell she didn't want to wait on us. She didn't greet us with a hello. She just asked what we wanted to drink. We told her, and I noticed that she didn't write our order down. It took another 15 minutes for our drinks to get to their table, and they were wrong. It's hard to mess up a ginger ale and vodka soda, but she did. My mom pointed out that she didn't order a Pepsi, and the waitress rolled her eyes, took my mother's glass, and disappeared. I excused myself to use the washroom shortly after. I had no idea where I was going, so I went to the entrance to ask one of the hostesses there. While I was walking up to the server area, I overheard my waitress talking to some of the other hostesses. She was pissed that she had to wait on a black table because they never tip well. My mother and I were the only black people in the restaurant. She wasn't even whispering when she said it either. I wasn't stunned, but her lack of effort started to make sense. I interrupted their conversation and asked where the bathroom was. I didn't let on that I had heard what they were talking about. When I got out of the bathroom, my boyfriend and his mom were already seated. My boyfriend and his mother are white. When my waitress saw the rest of our party, she did a 180. Her service was stellar. She took notes, told jokes, and her water glasses were always filled. She didn't make another mistake. Because the night went so well, I decided to treat everyone and pay the check. She gave me the machine, and I smiled at her when I keyed in 0% for a tip. She didn't notice until after the receipt had been printed out. By that time, all of us had already started to leave. She tapped me on the shoulder and asked if I had made a mistake on the bill. I told her I didn't think so, and looked at the receipt. She asked if there was a problem with her service, and I said her service was fantastic, but since I was a black woman, I didn't tip well. Her face went white, and she was kind of laughed nervously, and I laughed as well. I walked out after that, but my boyfriend's mom asked what had happened. I told her what I had overheard, and my boyfriend's mom said that I should have tipped her anyway because it shows character. She seemed pretty pissed at me after that. My boyfriend and my mom are both on my side, but I'm wondering if I should have just thrown in a $2 tip? Am I the asshole for suing my cousin for $6,000 to pay for my hearing aids after he threw me in the pool? My family is all on my cousin's side for this issue, and I wanted some outside judgment. My cousin, 25 male, has always been the golden child of our generation. He's funny, good-looking, and outgoing, not to mention a boy amongst girls. He's always loved to mess around and play pranks. For the record, I really dislike this cousin. I think he's irresponsible, childish, and annoying. I've had hearing problems for years. I recently got a $6,000 pair of hearing aids. Recently, at my grandmother's birthday party, we were all eating and drinking on the back porch. My grandmother has a pool. My cousin decided he was going to throw me in the pool because it would be funny to ruin my hair that I just got done that day. I repeatedly told him to stop and put me down in a very serious and not playful at all tone. He threw me in the pool, and my hearing aids were ruined. Afterwards, when I told him what had happened, he basically said, "Whoops, didn't know you had hearing aids now." When I told him the cost of them and that he would have to replace them, he freaked out and said, "No way." My family didn't want me to make him pay for them because I significantly out-earned him and also everyone else in the family. He was in college at the time, barely making ends meet in a call center job. His girlfriend and him have a baby, and they live in a one-bedroom apartment. He refused to pay, so I took him to court. I won. He refused to make the payments after, so I took him back to court, and his wages are now being garnished for the maximum amount, which is 20% of his total wages. It pushed him over the edge of what he could afford, so he's had to work extra and drop out of college to be able to pay the rent. My family is absolutely fuming at me. I think he made one bad choice after the other, and he has never given a sincere apology during this whole ordeal. Had he gave a real apology after the incident and asked if he could wait till he finished school to pay me back, I would have been fine with it. But the entitled little prick is digging his feet in at every move. Am I the asshole? The only reason I could see me maybe being the asshole is because it's affecting his child and girlfriend. Am I the asshole for robbing my wife's affair partner, which has now led to his divorce? I, 32, have been married to my soon-to-be ex-wife, who's 30, Madison, for 4 years. We are currently in counseling, but it is not going to work. About a year ago, I found out she was having an affair by coming home to their clothes in our living room and sounds coming from our bedroom. I lost it. I was getting my cricket bat out of the front closet when I stopped to think about consequences. I did not want to go to jail. Instead, I took all their clothes and left quietly. I went to a friend's house, but not before throwing all the clothes in a McDonald's garbage can. I turned off my phone and got shit-faced with my buddy. His wife hosed us off in the morning. After I turned my phone back on, I had dozens of calls and texts from Madison. First scared because she got my updated flight information, then upset that I hadn't come to let her know I was going to be coming home early, then freaked out that the house had been broken into, then crazy because she figured out it was me. They just got more deranged. The guy she was with is 5 inches shorter than me and about 60 pounds lighter, so if he had taken my clothes, it would have been obvious. He ended up calling his friend to go get his spare keys from this house. Unfortunately for him, his wife smelled a rat and followed his friend back to my house, where she saw him leaving in oversized clothes. Long story short, she took pictures and she had evidence of his infidelity, which caused their prenup to be canceled, which cost him a lot of money. It is all one big giant shit show. It took a couple of months, but my wife convinced me to try and forgive her. We started going to counseling and we were working our way through it until recently. In a counseling session, she said that I was wrong to steal his wallet, phone, and car keys. She said that his divorce is costing him a lot of money and that I should have dealt with it in a more mature manner and that it was my fault. I have never admitted to taking his stuff to begin with, and I was afraid he might call the cops. Then I didn't want to give her ammunition in case she wanted a divorce. Now, I just don't care. I told her that her cheating was the reason her boyfriend is getting divorced and that I hope his ex takes everything. I am still not living at home. I have my own apartment and I'm filing for divorce. Now that I know how she feels, it is kind of a slap in the face that she is blaming me for his divorce. Am I the asshole for being disgusted and just saying okay when my fiance broke up with me? I, 28, had been with my fiance, Alex, 34, since 2020. We met at a friend's party, hit it off, and had been together ever since. He finished his doctorate in economics just last year. Since then, he had been working at the uni. I have my master's in media sciences and decided to start working instead of going for a PhD. Okay, so the problem is that Alex broke up with me last Monday. It was literally so surreal and honestly just weird. For the past few months, he's been acting strange. He was making demands and then dropping them immediately. A few examples. He told me we were going to paint our walls back from dark green to white. When I asked why, he just said, "For fuck's sake, forget it," and never brought it up again, even when I asked. Another time, he came home and got mad because I was sitting on the couch with my head covered in a blanket. I had cramps. He was upset because I was just sitting there watching Netflix. Mind you, the house was spotless. When I tried to talk about it, he said, "Forget it, it's not a big deal." This kind of thing became common. Every time I tried to communicate, tried to figure out what was going on, whether it was something I did or maybe he was just stressed out at work, he would just say everything was fine, but he was clearly seething with rage. I didn't even have to do anything. He would find something to complain about: the apartment, clothes, me, work, etc. So I gave him space, which apparently was also wrong. I told him I was going to help my parents with repairs for a few days, and somehow that was also wrong because he wanted to renovate this apartment too. Then on Monday, I got a text saying we needed to talk. I knew what was coming, and after the last few months, I had made peace with it. When I came home, he was sitting on the couch. He didn't even wait for me to take off my jacket before saying, "I want to break up." Then the verbal diarrhea started. He told me he resented me, first because I didn't pursue my academic career further, even though I was capable, and he didn't want to upset me at the time. Then, when I started making more money, since he didn't make much as a PhD student, he felt like I should have the last word financially, and he hated it. Mind you, I never said anything like, "It's my money, so I have the final say." That's a rule he imposed on himself, and he hated it. He said he hated our paint scheme, the couch, and even our fucking crock pot. Then he told me that he had rejected a better PhD program to stay here because I had already started my job by the time he got the acceptance letters. Only, he never told me he had even applied overseas. He said a few months ago he checked in with a friend who's in that program, saw how they were thriving, and decided I ruined his life. He said I had too much control over his life and that he hated the idea that I could just decide not to pay for things and fuck him over. I honestly don't even know what that means. He also said he hated that all his friends loved me and didn't let him vent about me. Then he said again, "I'm done." I was floored. I had already made peace with the idea that we were ending and it hurt. But after that rant, I was just disgusted. I looked at him, probably with a disgusted expression, and said, "Okay." He lost it. He said this is exactly what he meant, that it was horrible. We had been together for 4 years and all I had to say was okay to our breakup. I just asked if he wanted to stay here while he figured out where to go. He said, "Typical, of course you're holding the apartment over me," and started ranting again, so I just left. I told my parents and they're also confused. My dad suggested I reach out to our landlord and explain the situation to see what options I have. I can keep paying the rent no problem myself. He covered the utilities and some subscriptions. Just to reiterate, I never had a problem with this. I saw that he was chasing his dream, and that was more important to me than a 50-50 financial split. I make good money and am happy at my job. I never saw it as slaving away. I always had the mentality that my money was our money because we were building a life together. Of course, I had my own savings and fun money, but I honestly never cared. As long as I felt he was working towards something and wasn't taking advantage of me, I was fine with it. More than fine. Alex is still mad. He is going between texting me like a robot about the logistics of the split to being a seething asshole complaining about everything. I'm not even hurt anymore. I just feel nauseated by him at this point. I don't know. Should I have reacted differently? My daughter just contacted me after 17 years asking if I want to meet my granddaughter. Am I the asshole for telling her that I don't care about her or her daughter and to never contact me again? I'm not sure if I am an asshole. Going to provide some background. I'm in my 60s now. I was married to my ex-wife and we had a daughter. Our marriage was going through its ups and downs, but I was really close with her daughter. But as our marriage was going through its difficulties, I made a huge mistake I still regret to this day. I started having an affair with my coworker. She was in a violent, physical, abusive relationship at home. We became friends at work, and things just escalated from there. She got an out from me. She got the support she needed to file for divorce from her husband, who is currently in jail now. The affair went nowhere, and we called it off shortly after, but I was glad that she got off her abusive relationship and that she was safe. But when my ex-wife found out about the affair, things expectedly didn't go well. She lashed out and said a lot of horrible things about me to our daughter, who was 15 at the time. I admitted full fault with the affair, and even after the divorce, I sensed that the distance between me and my daughter was growing, until one day, my daughter said she wasn't going to speak with me anymore, and she was going to cut me off from her life forever. That was the most painful thing anyone has ever said to me. I begged her to please reconsider. I still remember that day. But time passed on. My daughter kept her word, and after trying to connect with her for the first year, I gave up. I found out from one of my mutual friends that my ex-wife married a great guy. I was happy because I was hoping that would remove the hatred from my ex-wife, and my ex-wife would advise our daughter to at least rekindle a relationship with me, but that never happened. I moved states a year later. I am at peace now and still have some aching sadness. I have retired, both my parents have passed away. My brother passed away tragically a couple of years ago. To be honest, I am waiting for my turn. I have only my dog and my sister left. A couple of hours ago, my daughter called me in on my phone. I haven't spoken to her in 17 years. I instantly recognized her voice, but I didn't feel anything. No happiness, no sadness, just indifference. She was crying a lot on the call, and we caught up on life. She's married, and she has a daughter who's now 12. She apologized for cutting off contact. She says her mom asked her to reconnect with me, as her mom felt guilty about how everything played out. She said she really wanted me to meet her daughter, and her daughter was constantly asking about granddaddy, but I wasn't feeling anything. After we caught up on everything in our life, I told her I don't care about her or her daughter, and to never contact me again. I then hung up. Was I the asshole? Update. Look, I was extremely drunk last night. The words which came out of my mouth weren't the best, and my comments on my post weren't great either. Seeing how everyone said I was the asshole, I decided to call my daughter again an hour ago. I didn't really expect her to pick up, but she picked up immediately. I apologized for last night, and she said there was no need to apologize. I then sent her a link to this Reddit post on messages and told her I know I was the asshole and thousands said so. She again said I wasn't the asshole. She started crying again. I told her she's free to come to my house anytime the next 4 months, because after that, I'll be leaving the country with my sister and our dog. Our parents left us a nice farmhouse in their home country, and we'll be spending the rest of our lives there. I sent her my address on messages, and my daughter said she'd come with her husband and her daughter by the end of next week. She asked if she was welcome to stay there for multiple days, and I told her she could stay for however long she wanted, as our house was spacious enough. Am I the asshole for pointing out my girlfriend's bad hygiene? I, M28, have been with my girlfriend, F27, for 7 months now and went full exclusive 3 months ago. She's everything, smart, kind, caring, and drop-dead gorgeous to me. However, she has worse hygiene than a Neanderthal. She lives a studio apartment to a small. Since started dating her, I've avoided spending time there because it's always dirty, but I never said anything because it's her place. She does not shower often as strong BO. Like bad enough like I won't have sex with her unless she's recently showered. Here's where it gets bad. She's on her period and 3 days ago she was having a really rough day, so I called her and asked her to come stay at my place until she feels better and that I can't cook and take care of her and allow her to rest. She was taking the week off from work because it was so bad. She came to my place and didn't bring any feminine hygiene products. I have to run to the store at 3 a.m. to get her stuff because she's been wearing the same pad for so long that it leaked on my bed. I didn't say anything as she's stressed. The next day I came home from work and she has the pad from the previous night on the bathroom floor without even wrapping it. I was pissed and called her out and said, "Hey, that's gross. I don't want to look at that while I'm going to the bathroom." She got really mad and said I called her gross. I clarified that having a period is not gross, it's just a natural thing, but leaving a bloody pad on the floor of someone's home is nasty. She lost it and said it made her feel gross and bad. Was I the asshole here for calling her out? Update, almost a month later. As many of you had pointed out, there was a lot more to the issue than simply her being a slob. She is now getting professional help for her mental health issues and trauma from early childhood. She's been through enough to break any person. I'm grateful for those who suggest that her mental health be checked, and also grateful I didn't run from her like many were suggesting. A lot has improved. Hygiene-wise, she's doing amazing. She, of course, needs some reminders and encouragement, but she gets things done. And relationship-wise, we're both happier. New update. We broke up. It's over. She had a major meltdown a day ago and accused me of forcing her to get help for things that she didn't want help for and accused me of controlling her. She gave me an ultimatum and didn't do ultimatums instead of calmly explaining her point. So I told her goodbye and good luck, and she left and told me to go F myself. Am I the asshole for lying to my wife that I'd forgive her cheating? When me and my wife first started dating, we had a talk about cheating. I straight up lied and said, if this ever happens, I need to know straight away. If you tell me and it only happens once, I think I could forgive you. Fast forward 5 years and we are married. A couple nights ago, she came up to me and asked if I remember our talk. I said, which one? We had a lot of talks like that. Then she reminded me of the cheating talk and confessed she slept with a coworker at a recent company party. I was mortified. I packed my stuff and left. She begged me to stay. I couldn't. I needed to cool down. We talked yesterday and she again reminded me of our talk early on. I laughed and said that I never intended to forgive her and I only said that all the time to make sure she confessed if it ever happened. I'm still planning on divorcing her. Nothing can change my mind about that. But my wife said what I did was manipulation. Was I the asshole for lying about forgiving her? And all right, guys, that wraps up the first story video on Snook Stories channel. And thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. Let me know what you thought about it. Did you enjoy it? What could I change? What can I do in the future? And just thank you so much for watching to the end. It means the world, and you'll expect a lot from this channel. And just tell me what I should focus on and what I should change. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, see ya.